There are some musical geniuses throughout our history that were so iconic and so ubiquitous in their name recognition that they only needed one name. You only had to say one name, and you would conjure the image of this person throughout history. Elvis, Madonna, Michael. And of that group, Prince was among them. Um, Another thing that is sort of sadly true and is tragic is that a lot of these performers, you could never imagine them growing old. You could never imagine that light fading from them, time catching up with them, seeing these performers live to comb gray hair and decay in front of our eyes. There'll always be like a shooting star, maybe not the longest moment to watch or the longest span, but still a shining light to see. And that has proven true to be of so many of them in the past: Elvis and Michael. And today, sadly, Prince has joined them. There was reports earlier, maybe about 40 minutes ago, that a body was found at Prince's estate. And it's been confirmed now that that body was that of Prince. He was 57 years old, and recently he had to cancel a performance because of illness. He had been battling a severe case of the flu. For those who are younger and may not recognize or know the musical depth and brilliance of Prince, he dominated the 1980s. If it wasn't for Michael Jackson, Prince would have completely eviscerated any competition. It was in the mid 80s. It was him and Michael as far as pop supremacy in the black community. It was sort of brilliantly, in a way, portrayed by Dave Chappelle. I mean, it was comical, but he did it out of respect on a show one time, showing how Prince was so large back in the 1980s and whatnot. But Prince came from humble beginnings, and he truly, in many ways, revolutionized music. His career pretty much started in the late 70s. Well, actually started in the 70s, but he became more prominently known in the late 1970s. I think his first album was called For You, and he's had a lot of successful albums throughout his career. 1999, Around the World in a Day, Sign of Times, and Batman. I mean, he was really prolific in the 1980s. That was the period where his genius really blossomed. But it was Purple Rain in 1984, which is the masterpiece of his art, of his creations. It was sort of like his Citizen Kane, so to speak, if you're familiar with Orson Welles. That LP was just brilliant. It was his first #1 album. This is when he was at the peak of his creative battles with Michael Jackson, so to speak, and it can be argued that he was even more brilliant a musician than Michael. Yes, Michael was the bigger star, but Prince could do much more than just sing and dance. I mean, Prince could write music prolifically. He wrote music for Stevie Nicks, one of her biggest hits in the early 90s. The name of the song, Lose Me Right Now. It Lose Me Right Now, but he was a prolific songwriter. He was a musician. He could play instruments. I mean, he could do it all, man. And his album won several Grammys and an Oscar. And Stand Back. That's the name of the song that Stevie Nicks had in the early '90s, called Stand Back. But Prince had some controversial moments. I remember for a number of years he had changed his name um, to a symbol. If I remember correctly, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was some symbol, and he didn't want to be called Prince. And then years later, he decided to go back to being known as Prince. He was a little bit, eccentric in a lot of ways, but you can get away with that when you have such a depth of humanity, a depth of talent, and up until the very end, he was performing, doing the thing that he loved. He guarded his work. Um, that was his creations. Um, he was a very unique person, and to discover that he has died at age 57, it's shocking to me, but knowing how these things tend to go throughout history, like so many of our most brilliant performers never live to extreme old age. John Lennon comes to mind, even though his death wasn't natural. Um, Biggie, Tupac, their deaths weren't natural as well, but to see that he had passed is shocking to me. I'm looking up an article. He released 39 solo studio albums. I mean, that's what you call prolific creativity. 39 solo albums. His career was over 35 years, going on 40 years. And, he was a stunning musician. I mean, like I said, Michael Jackson was brilliant in so many ways, but as a musician, as far as prolific, and as far as the scope of things that he could do, Michael couldn't touch Prince. And if you anything that younger people who don't know Prince, check out Purple Rain, and that is a masterpiece, a Citizen Kane type masterpiece. And shocking news today: Prince was found dead in his home in Minnesota at the age of 57. May he rest in peace.